Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, meathead. No, there's no competition in hospitals. There's no competition in, what was the other thing? Went from hospitals to veterinary clinics to now grooming. Now, all his grooming things feed his hospital. It's easier to manage grooming than it is veterinaries. So he's only got I think he's only got one veterinary clinic. And they all feed the hospital. Now, to get 150, he's going to have 2 or 3 more hospitals. Because the hospital he has is a small hospital. And funny enough, you rate hospitals just like a hospital. How many beds? It's a similar number. They're just, and they're a lot easier to manage, pets. The animals, they're a lot easier to manage. But he's done it. Now he knows. He's got 16 acquisitions, and he's got a bunch on the front burner, I should say. And it's like he said. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easy. But we could watch 1,000 of these guys, and you're still not going to believe it. You understand that? People ask me, why do I cry during the seminar? Because I say, I'm beating my head against a fucking wall. That's why I cry. But what gets me off is when we talk about Anelli's got his kids on the road. I know John Robinson has his kids on the road. They do their QLA shit, Graham and Leanne Carlene are bringing their 14-year-old. And they get it better than you do. But not enough parents, and I used to do it for free, because when the kid comes back, the kid knows that daddy and mommy are full of shit and they're cunts. And that's a hard pill to swallow, guys and gals. But one of the other, and this is the close, but Gerard beat me to the punch when he said 18 years I was chasing my tail, right? He said that 5 or 6 times. 18 years I was wasting my time. The reason why it's harder for you to swallow the QLA pill, whatever you've done for 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, 5 years, well, you should have been dead because you accomplished not a motherfucking thing. And that's a hard pill to swallow. That your whole entire lives, your whole entire careers, your whole entire meaning has been for fuck all nothing. And that's why people have trouble with QLA, because they can't admit that to themselves. I wasted my life for nothing. For those of you that are younger in the room, and he thinks he's old at 48, which I find a little amusing. For those of you that are younger, you've wasted less of your life. But you still wasted it. Most of you that went to university and you have multiple, you should have been picking weeds in a goddamn, on my estate. For all you've learned. And that's a fucking tough pill to swallow. Especially when you come from certain ethnicities with, there's 2 ways out of the barrio, out of the gutter, out of the hood. 2 ways. Norman athletics, a lot of blacks, in other ethnicities. And criminality is the surest way out of the hood. That's it. Athletics or other. Everybody else is an also ran. I'm not a farmer, a pharmacist, I'm a cop, I'm a librarian, I'm a fireman. The guys in the hood understand. And the more education you have, it's a harder pill to swallow. And we've had, multiple PhDs and psychiatrists and medical doctors. And at the end of the day, what have you accomplished? Whereas I'm changing children. Carlin's kids, Robinson's kids, and a lot of kids, and Nellie's kids. Those kids have a chance to really change the world if it doesn't implode by the time they get in a position to implode it. They have an actual chance to evoke real change. You don't. You're past it. You should have rolled down the inside of your fat mama's leg. And I've already done the joke. Why do they gain 70 pounds? Because they can. Your fat mama. Let's jump back to the Viking bitch. She went through the mistakes. Of course, Gerard, I wasn't sure he was going to tell you everything. He did more than have 50% everything wrong. He did 95% everything wrong. He was being generous to himself, and then he said, no, maybe I did more than 50%. Because he knows he has. But he still made it, didn't he? And the one thing that really pissed him off on that Zoom call when he saw, and this guy was whatever's less than a mouse. So, and he was doing deals, and it just killed him. Literally, it was like a knife in his heart. To this piece of shit. And that it was enough incentive to get him right back on track. Because everybody in this room is not going to come out looking like Babe Ruth, believe me. And whether you've got the temerity, the guts, the grit, whatever the word, the balls, that after you get your teeth knocked out, whether you get up and do it again. That's the real question. And even though 99.9% of the kids that have been successful with QLA I never met, that letter, this letter, well, one of these guys, I'm crying because he's in a respirator. He's made $1 million. And a motherfucking respirator. You know, the iron lung things he can't even do a Zoom call properly. A motherfucking respirator. And then I got you, cunts. That's why I keep doing this. Not for, I would have blown my brains out years ago. But the Viking bitch she's got super leadership skills. Super. That's why guys move their houses and everything. Gerard's leadership skills are pretty good, but he manages with an iron fucking fist. And then he said, Mr. Peña will explain to you after we get off camera. Of course, now I'm saying it on camera, but yes, sir.
With Jessica, right? That's her name? With Jessica, her chairman...
That's what we call her. That's not a real name, by the way.
Okay, good.
Okay, go ahead.
With her, she was... her chairman was not involved in any of the past deals in her industry.
No, he's a retired general. Logistics, if I remember correctly. He may even be a name you'd recognize. But anyway.
How does that affect the board? Do you need the chairman to be part of that industry?
No, well, yeah, ideally, yes. But although she says that I'm not tough or not ruthless, in her mind, she was not ruthless enough. And, but in the South, even though the Southern men in Southern business treat women better, like Southern belles, they won't treat you that much better that they give you an advantage unless you're a ball buster. So hard women, I've got 3 mentees. One's I call Black Beauty. She's got a TV show now in Houston, and she's rolling up a segment in healthcare. I've got her, and I've got her classmate from basketball and university, which she alluded to. But they're all tough. They may hold the door open for you, but they're not going to give you any slack in doing the deal. Chivalry only goes so far. But she's terrific. But she still has, it's not that she wants to be liked so much, but she thinks through, well, the guy's going to lose his house now. He doesn't have a job. And his daughters are already invested in private school. So now what the fuck how are they going to pay? He's got no pay. So she thinks through all these things. But that's not her responsibility. The responsibility is the motherfucker lied. Now I chase him down and I make sure he never got a job the rest of his fucking life. He lied to me. So she thinks she's tough just because she fired him. That cocksucker would never work again. Because you fuck with a bull, you get the motherfucking horn. That's me. Anything else about the Viking bitch? She's terrific, though. And she still does her housework. I told her before to get a fucking maid, get a chauffeur. And so now, because this is real time, she said, well, because she thinks that's, and I happen to agree. And it sounds, what's it called? Not homophobic, what's it called? Misogynist. I am. I'm not going to lie about it, God damn it. But for all the shit she's doing, to come home and then have to clean house is a little much, even for me. Even for me. Yes, sir.
She mentioned she made the mistake of not issuing shares.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay. I tell you to issue shares simultaneous. It's like a simultaneous transaction. At the same time as you're having your board meeting, okay, and the lawyers are doing the articles of incorporation and all the paperwork. And in some countries, you have to have a notary. He's there signing everything off. That's when the shares are issued. But she, wrongfully, as she said, before the fact, before she got a board, before she got that general to be her chairman, she set up a company. Innocent enough, I think she's put in $1,000. You can set up a company any place. And but now she was doing the deals in that company's name, and it's already formed. So now he's done 3 or 4 deals, and let's say she's got a book value of $2 million. So now the stock has a value. So when I give you 10% as the CEO, 10% of $2 million is $200,000. So it's a taxable event to you. And it's the demon of corporate world, of corporate America, is phantom income. Income that you don't get, but you got to pay fucking taxes on. And that's what she had. So they did some fancy, you pay good lawyers, it won't cost you $2 million to fix it. But she set up a this or that, and then, so the tax liability was very small. I'm involved in one of those deals too where I actually have tax liability. But I knew it when I came in. The trouble for me coming in to try to fix a company that's already been there 5 or 10 years, it has tax basis. So when I take 20% options in the company, those 20% options have a tax basis because I wasn't there at the beginning. Yes, sir. Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
So if you bring people on down the road.
Well, down the road, you're giving them stock options, not free founders equity. So the company's worth $25 million, and you're giving the new CEO wants 10% options. And so the value of the company, the book value of the company is $25 million. So I get, or that CEO gets 10% of whatever he grows it over $25 million. So if he grows it to $1 billion, he's made 10% of the difference between $25 million and $1 billion. And a lot of the big guys, they're going to come in and turn around your deal. They don't want any fucking income. They want capital gains. So they want capital gains via options. And in the beginning, you're not paying honorariums. You're not paying the salary that board directors, non-executive board directors get. You know, when you go, if you're on British Petroleum's board, they have meetings 6 times a year. You get paid about £50,000 for the meeting, plus all your travel expenses. And you get an honorarium, which is like a bonus for directors only once a year. You may get, £250,000 to £500,000. So all you've got to be is on 6 or 7 boards, and you're making £3 million a year, which is about $5 million, which is better than you were when you were working. And that's why these guys, well, you know, fall over, not dead, but almost fall over dead, free founders equity. They're not going to believe you. Some of you already couldn't give away sex to a drunk sailor coming off from 5 years with no sex. You couldn't give away a fucking blowjob. Your sales skills are so poor. So now you're going to tell a guy that's 40 years in the real world, was president of a big public company, you're going to give him something free. Good luck. Good fucking luck. They were not going to believe you. You can't. The fact that you're not convincing the first chairman is not because it's not a great deal, because he doesn't believe you. He hangs up on you. You trick fuck me to get my email address. Fuck you, you little shit. I tell you to go to improv. I tell you to go to sales courses. I tell you to go Toastmaster, but you don't. Almost all of these people did. The Viking bitch did. Gerard did. But you won't. Because you've lived behind your, and this is for you guys that aren't here, you live behind your fucking laptop in obscurity. Because you're a cunt. You heard Nelly say, the real seminar, the first seminar is to get your head screwed on straight. Right? Coming here just doesn't do that automatic. And why do I say you got to follow the steps 1,000 times during the seminar? Because you're not. I had a bright psychiatrist here for you. Tell us to don't follow the steps, and then maybe we will. I wish it was funny. It's not. You know, it's fucking tragic. Okay, anything about either Gerard or the Viking bitch? Yes, sir.
They both seem like they have the same timeline of exit. Around how many years?
Well, no. Gerard went to the seminar with the first seminar with Nelly, April of 2018. Except Nelly's made about the same number of acquisitions, except he's earned about $600 million more dollars because he's shooting elephants and dinosaurs. And Nelly was very experienced in business, you know. But, you know, most people, depending on how you're raised, you know, but now the average person in the world, not counting Ethiopia and places like that, has 6.7 credit cards each person on the planet. That's in Peru, Bolivia, Tasmania. 6.7 credit cards. So credit isn't, although when you talk to university students, I have, the first thing they're worried about is a war because the men are afraid they're going to be inducted and they're cowards, they're going to die. The second is debt, student debt. I've had people here 47 years old come through the seminar still have student debt. I don't understand that. But so you've been out of school, let's say, 21 undergrad, and let's say a master's degree, you're out of school by the time you're 25, more or less. And you still got student debt when you're 47? And apparently they don't chase you too hard with student debt. And I'm 100% against forgiving all student debt. Fuck you, you little cunt. You pay up, or I'll give you a kneecap job. But there's no accountability with student debt. If you run a credit thing, it is. But I mean, you can have student debt till you're 76 if you want. They don't foreclose on you, is what I'm trying to say. Which I think is awful. It shows no accountability. Well, of course, the whole world's no accountability now. As my daughter said, Daddy, I could fuck a donkey in the lobby of my Fortune 300 company headquarters and ask the chairman and CEO to watch, and I wouldn't get fired. What the fuck? I mean, that's awful to me. And not so awful that my daughter said it to me, but it's awful that could happen. She says, Daddy, you know, and she's a minority. Daddy, I can't reprimand another minority. They'll take it to HR. How do you run the business? You do like Gerard does. Dark alleys in Brooklyn. Anything else about, yes, sir?
Would you recommend you bring someone with military experience?
Oh, I love. Well, yeah. Well, yes. Even the military doctors that have retired from the military, not that they went there 3 years after they went to med school and then no, they retired from the military, so they're full colonels, maybe a 1 or 2 star general, are great if you're doing healthcare. Okay, you can get somebody like her chairman is, I believe, he's a general in logistics. Depends where you go, and they have officers, and by accident, their leadership skills are better than yours because you have to have some leadership skills if you climb the ladder in the military. But they're gonna take it from you. I think the email is coming up. I'm gonna have one of you read this poor fucker's letter. What happened to him? I mean, I can't read it anymore. But anything else about the bitch? Or yes, sir.
So you mentioned when you before you do the first deal, you want to form the company.
No, you're forming the company simultaneously with doing the first deal. You get the LOIs, and then the board is going to give you permission. Okay, go out and get these. Get all of them really, and you may go forward because remember, LOIs are like toilet paper; they don't mean a fucking thing. And the seller knows that too. And some sellers and buyers won't do an LOI because they know they're worthless. LOIs are only good if you want to get off your fat ass and fight in court. And how many people are going to do that? None. So if the seller knows that and the buyer knows that, why are we going through the exercise? We're going through the exercise because it ostensibly makes you, the seller think that you're more serious. And you're pretending you're more serious. But if they're subject to, they're non-binding for the first thing. You can't get anybody to sign a binding LOI. In 50 years, I've seen maybe 5 binding LOIs. Not even 5, 3. Well, fuck, that means I got to do this. You crazy? You won't see that.
Do you get your law firm to do the...
You have in your templates, you got all the shit. Oh, you just go Google fuck. LOI Britain. LOI Lithuania. LOI, there's no such a thing as LOI in Russia, but that I'm aware of anyway.
I meant the contract for your corporation.
Oh, yeah, the lawyers have... No. Do you want to... LL, Limited Liability Company, are the flavor of the day in America right now. LLC could be a limited liability partnership. A lot of states you can't do deals with limited liability partnership. A C Corp, an S Corp, and there's all kinds of corps. There's a limited company in this country. There's a GmbH in Germany, and some of the, I think also in Austria. You're worrying about stuff, you're asking questions, doesn't matter. You're not going to pick up the phone to make a fucking cold call, so why are you worrying about the format of the company? And like you said, rightfully, Mr. Peña, what would you have asked? And when I said that and I looked at your faces, you all looked like you shit your pants. That's the only question to ask. How many questions did they ask the bitch? 40, 50? At least 25. And you're not even in the same universe. And that's why Sally says, Dan has rhino skin and you can't hurt his feelings. I used to, when I first started doing this in the mid-90s, the questions you would ask, of course I hit people in seminar then, were insulting to my intelligence. Because we used to give them a whole list of shit that they had to do before they got here. And then they'd ask a fucking question like, how do you add 1 and 1? I used to go fucking crazy. I remember one time, and this is true, this story. You know how you see when a man turns into a werewolf or something, and then his bones and all that, and he leaps on the desk like this? I did that when we had 10 people in the seminar in the castle. I leaped over the desk and started choking the guy. I said, God almighty. And of course, in the back of my mind, $1 trillion I'm going to get out of these guys. And this was about the second year, and I go, fuck, I'm not going to be able to live long enough. I said, fuck, how am I going to create 1 million millionaires? I thought to myself, it was 1994, I still remember it. We had 2 twins, Muslim girls. One was a psychiatrist and one was a lawyer. And the lawyer passed out during the seminar. Pee-peed her pants, as I recall, and passed out, and hit her head on like a beam that comes out of the ground. And her twin sister, who was sitting across the thing, the seminar's not stopping. I talked to her another 90 minutes. Then we saw if she was alive. And both of those girls adore me. Their moms are successful. They adore me. And they were pissed off that I didn't hit them like I hit the guys. Oh, well, you could still arrange it, you know. And the other thing the bitch said, always have somebody with you when you fire somebody, boy. And that's absolutely true, especially today. And what I do, and remind me when we're not on camera so I can give you some secret sauce that the YouTubers aren't going to get when they fire somebody. Because I still haven't gone over the contract. There's only one question. How are you going to do that, ma'am? Because you're worried about the shit that doesn't happen, and you don't ask any questions about the shit that is going to throw you out of business. And it's all based on lack of self-confidence, all the stuff that we talked about. Anything other about those 2 young people? Okay, YouTube, thank you.